Greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your Duke of Dope Discourse, Robert Meyer Burnett. I invite you to watch and listen to the Designing Hollywood podcast, brought to you by Martika Ibarra and the great, legendary Hollywood costume designer, Marilyn Vance. I am afforded the wonderful opportunity of co-hosting the show. If you are interested in the magic of Hollywood, the design of Hollywood, the clothes of Hollywood, watch the Designing Hollywood podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts from, or find the video version on YouTube. That's right, the Designing Hollywood podcast. Why would you ever want to miss it? Especially if you love the movies. Well, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Once again, it is I, your pharaoh of physical media, along with your viceroy of verisimilitude, your Duke of Dope Discourse, whatever names people want to hang on me, Robert Meyer Burnett, and welcome to Let's Get Physical Media, which I still can't sing, episode number 80. 80. Can you believe we've been doing this cockamamie show for over 80 weeks? I don't know why, although actually you and I both know why. All of you know why. We do this show for one reason, and one reason only. Some people might say to celebrate our love of physical media. I say, well, that's part of it, but really, it's to celebrate the world's greatest German, Mr. Dieter Bastian. Mr. Dieter Bastian, how are you today? I think I'm a little loud.
Rob, I'm feeling great, considering you're showering me with oil again, with your intro every week, which I probably needed, but unfortunately, last week, we didn't have any vacancies open here at the B&B Motel. Nevertheless, I say, greetings, imagination connoisseurs. Dieter here. Here I am, rock you like a hurricane. And welcome to the B&B Motel, where finally we got some vacancies open tonight. Last week, we did close the motel for a day because Rob was at a nice Hellraiser festival. Rob, give us a little bit, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, Dietz, one of the joys of this show is being able to introduce people to new movies, things they haven't seen. And one of my new favorite people, and not just because she gave me a $1,000 Dolby Atmos soundbar to give away on one of my channel shows. She's just lovely. She's a great person. Her name is Connie Sang. And somehow I hipped her to the joys of Hellraiser. Now, I didn't want to explain to her about the terrific, dismal descent the franchise makes into its own personal hell. Yeah. That there's only really the first two movies are great. I have a soft spot for Hellraiser, Hell on Earth, and she watched all of them. But she fell in love with the Hell Priest. She fell in love with Pinhead. And last Sunday was the actual 35th anniversary of the release of Hellraiser. And so we went to the Aero Theater, and as part of Beyond Fest, they were showing prints of both Hellraiser and Hellbound Hellraiser 2. And Peter Atkins, the writer of Hellraiser 2, 3, and 4, spoke live between the films. And, I'm always dubious these days when people show film prints, because if they're not new prints, sometimes you go to these revival screenings and you see pretty shitty prints. Thankfully, the Hellraiser print we saw was actually from Britain. It had a British Film Board certification on it. And for the most part, aside from one scene where some scratches were visible, and they're really visible because it was a white background and the Cenobites were there, and it was a little rough only in that patch. But for the most part, it looked great, it sounded great, and the print for Hellraiser 2, Hellbound, looked fantastic. And every time I watch Hellbound, I'm always struck, like, this movie's better than I thought it was. Terrific film. I really love seeing both of those in the theater. Hearing Peter Atkins speak, and to go with lovely, lovely Connie Sang was always a great pleasure. So that's why I was not here last week. I was actually going and seeing movies not only do I own, but that I've seen dozens of times, because you have to see them again. Why not? I had to drive 90 miles to do it, but definitely worth it.
Rob, you said he talked a little bit about the fourth one. Can you give me some details about the peculiar fourth one and
I'll
the
tell you
stuff
something.
with Alan Smithy?
Yeah, the fourth one was directed by Kevin Yeager, who took his name off it. I loved the screenplay for Bloodline Hellraiser 4. The script was great, and people joke, yes, it goes into space. I love that script. It was so good. It was Kevin Yeager's directorial debut, and basically he ran afoul of Bob Weinstein and Miramax. And, they took the movie away from him, and it was, you could see that Peter Atkins, who had written a tremendous script, was sad about it. And I actually think there's still a lot to like in Hellbound, but, I've never understood why, something like that happened. And I think it might have had to do with, maybe Kevin Yeager's inexperience, but also lack of support from the studio. But Peter Atkins didn't say much about it, other than there was joking about Alan Smithy. But there's a lot to, like, I wouldn't call myself a Hellraiser Bloodline apologist, but I think that it had a tremendous script. It went awry for various reasons, which is sad. But to me, that's kind of where the series ended. And it was interesting. He said something interesting that I didn't know. He said that after Bloodline, all the subsequent Hellraiser movies, like 5, 6, 7, and 8, were other scripts that were not written as Hellraiser movies that were then repurposed into Hellraiser movies. And that isn't as uncommon as you might think. Like Die Hard with a Vengeance was actually repurposed from a script called Simon Says. It was not written as a Die Hard movie. And that was also true of Die Hard 2, which was a script called 58 Minutes that they repurposed into Die Hard. So it's not, with franchise properties, it's always difficult to come up with ongoing storylines, especially if those franchises last a long time. So it was interesting to hear that was the deal with Hellraiser. So it was interesting. All in all, very enjoyable day. Thoroughly had a really good time doing it. And it's always nice to see, movies up on the big screen. Although I do kind of feel guilty. There's so many movies I haven't seen that are new that I want to see. But what can you do?
But now we're looking forward to the Hulu one.
You know what? The trailer dropped for the Hulu one. I want to say this past Tuesday. Yeah. I thought it looked great. David Goyer's involved in it. It looks. I love. In the trailer, the kid. Well, what do I get if I solve the puzzle box? Do I get a prize? And I do. Certainly. I get a prize. It looks really good, and it looks really interesting. And here's the thing. If you read the original novella that Hellraiser is based on, The Hellbound Heart, there are female Cenobites, and some of them are sort of genderless. And Clive Barker, in terms of inclusion, his stories are full of LGBTQ representation. So to complain about a female Cenobite or a female being the new Pinhead, who's, by the way, being played by, I believe, a trans actress, is ridiculous. Because the original Hellraiser, the second in command, was a female Cenobite, and she's badass. So, to me, the Hellraiser universe can have all kinds of representation. There's all kinds of people in hell, Dieter, and I'm there for it. I am so there for it. But I'm Hulu knocked it out of the park, I thought, with Prey. Exactly. And it's interesting that these movies are winding up on Hulu. I would love to have seen Prey in a theater. I would like to see Hellbound, or the new Hellraiser. It's just called Hellraiser. I'd love to see that in a theater too. Yeah,
especially Prey, especially like you said, to seeing Prey in the theaters, because I was at my multiplex last week, Rob, and I did see a movie that had no right to be on the big screen. I saw Jeepers Creepers Reborn, Rob. And I'm a fan of the franchise, but this, Rob, was one of the worst movies this year, considering the green screen, the story, the design of the creeper. This movie had
and the
no
creeper
right
is one of the great horror designs. Along with Pinhead. Exactly.
So, Rob, this had no right to be on the big screen if you see a movie such as Prey, So the only good thing, Rob, I didn't pay for it. I had enough points on my Sinistar card, so I got the tickets for free. And it saved me actually money, Rob. It only wasted 90 minutes of my time, but then I canceled the Blu-ray for Jeepers Creepers Reborn. It will
Yeah.
not go
Wow,
in my
dude,
trash
if you're
collection.
canceling a Blu-ray, that really speaks to the horrifically
That
terrible
speaks.
movie it really is.
Exactly, Rob. One of the worst of this year. Considering the green screen stuff, it looked terrible, insane. It
Sorry
looked,
about that,
Rob,
buddy.
yeah, it looked cheap. It looked cheap, you know.
I
Just a
think
warning.
that's the worst thing that you can say.
Yeah, not good. But I saw Avatar yesterday, Rob. Went to see Avatar again.
Did you see it in
Have you
IMAX
seen
3D?
it, Rob? No, Rob.
No, I'm
we
gonna
have
go.
no IMAX here. Just normal, but in 235. It's presented in 235 then. And it did have a little bit of a mid-credit sequence from the new one. I don't know about your screen.
Yeah, how did it look?
Awesome. Considering the new one, the part for the new one, Avatar itself, the picture was always great,
Yeah.
considering the audiovisual. So me, I didn't really detect what was remastered. Considering
Right, but I'm sure. Yes, but it definitely
it wasn't a movie that back in the day when it was released had a shitty quality.
That makes sense.
which would have needed a remaster. But Rob, there was some crazy stuff happening. I follow my multiplex on Instagram, and I had needed to put out a post because we all know we live in our movie bubble, YouTube bubble. We know when movies come out, and I had to put a post on Instagram. This is not part 2, because a lot of people here thought it was actually the new one, and they put on Instagram, no, this is part 1,
By the way,
and that shows you that we live in a bubble.
guess what
No
the
movie
number
bubble.
one movie was worldwide at the box office this weekend?
Worldwide. Okay.
Yeah,
Avatar?
Avatar. It grossed $31 million.
Yeah.
It outgrossed Don't Worry, Darling, which made $30 million.
Yeah.
So, pretty interesting. So you always ask about the box office.
Exactly.
There was extra oomph at the international box office this weekend as Disney's re-release of 20th Century Fox's Studios' Avatar grossed $20.5 million from 5 offshore markets for a $30.5 global launch. So there you go. And it was number 1 in several markets. And Don't Worry, Darling made $30 million global, with the majority of the grosses from domestic. It made $10 million.
But you haven't seen it, Rob.
No, it made $10 million internationally, and it made $20 million here, which, for all the bad press, it is relatively respectable. I'm glad to see. Look, I don't know Olivia Wilde personally, but I know what it's like to make a movie, and she purchased there's a lot of really interesting article in Entertainment Weekly about how she changed the end of the film to, I think, its detriment after reading the story, but. Again, I mean, Don't Worry, Darling, I guess, would enter the pantheon of movies like Vanilla Sky or Matrix, things like that, I guess. But I think that it's really important to get world-class female directors out there. And I think that when all is said and done, all of the other stuff is just noise. Go see the movie. I'm going to go see it this afternoon and make up your own mind. It doesn't matter what happens in the lives of the people that made the movie. It only matters what the work that they've done is. Judge Don't Worry, Darling. I don't care if it's a Thirst Valentine to Harry Styles. I mean, hey, I do object to, look, anybody, it's the oldest story in the world, but anybody who begins an affair, if you're a director and you're sleeping with one of your stars, wait till after the movie's over. It's never good. It's never good for anybody. It's not good for your fellow actors, and it's certainly not good for the crew. It takes the focus away from what you're doing.
Luckily, it's not a $100 million movie.
That's true. Thank God. So, but it's pretty interesting that that it did. Avatar, number 1 movie worldwide. So that's pretty cool.
Nice.
Pretty cool.
Okay.
So there you go. Obviously,
where do we go from here?
It might do. The actuals might be better. It might make a little bit more today on Sunday, but the projections are 20 million domestic. So there you go. That's cool.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Where do we go, Rob? Live chat. You have some letters, or do we show some physical media?
Well, I
The
think
show
that
is all
let's
about.
talk about the elephant in the room.
Yeah, this one right here. And Rob,
Finally.
I will give you the floor for this one.
Well, you and I both received the British release of this.
Yeah.
There are a few interesting differences. First of all, the packaging is more heavy duty with this European release. Also, the bumper stickers. The bumper stickers that come with the European release are the size of real bumper stickers. The stickers that come with the domestic American release are smaller. Now, if you want to slather your car with bumper stickers, and these I mean, these stickers are hilarious. Reprints of these vintage stickers. I mean, I think that I don't have a notebook to put these on, but they're pretty funny. And, there's a lot of fun stuff in here. And, of course, this version comes with extra discs that the domestic doesn't have. So you've got the Blu-ray of the director's cut Blu-ray instead of just the 4K. I mean, this is kind of a cool bumper sticker. I don't know if I'd put that on my car, but there's lots of cool stuff in here. Although, you know what? I think I'm going to put this on my car. It'll probably fade quickly. But yeah, so this disc, this release has 2 extra discs in it. So you've got these 3 the 3 that are on this side.
Yep.
But then there's also, what is it? The TV version, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
This is the extra disc, as far as I know.
Yes. So I think it's the ABC TV version.
Yeah.
Either way, you got to get the British version. You got to get the UK release of this. And you got yours too.
Yeah, I got mine too.
So hey, it's great to have this book.
So we're set up. And speaking of Star Trek, Rob, 2 weeks back, I did show the wrong reversible cover. I got my exchange. I exchanged it for a new one, and luckily the new one, the reversible cover artwork, was fine. But here comes another thing, Rob.
Oh no!
I hate William Shatner. You know why, Rob? I was watching that movie.
Wait, what? Wait, hang on. What did you just say?
I hate William Shatner.
You're out. You're gone. That's the end of Let's Get Physical Media is no longer a show with your favorite German. I'm taking this over. It's not. He's never allowed on this channel ever again. I don't know why he said what he just said, Bill. I apologize. I don't know. Wow. I think that's it. You know what? That's it. This show's done.
When Bill
I'm
said,
kidding. I'm kidding.
Let them die, Rob. My 4K player went dark. Nothing was going anymore.
Jim, they're
while
dying.
I was watching the movie.
Let them die.
There. Let them die. And nothing. The player went completely black. And I didn't know what was wrong. I couldn't get the player to work anymore. I left it out of the AC for one night. And the next day, it worked again. But I have no idea. So, Bill has the power. The power up to stop physical media. Let it.
Well, that's at least you're on the right side of history. Bill does have the power. Did you see him on The Masked Singer? He was on The Masked Singer.
No.
He was unveiled. Okay. He came in dressed in a suit of armor on a fake horse. God bless Bill Shatner. 91 years old and he's still kicking ass.
So luckily the next day I could finish my watch or started anew, and I got my cover right this time. But I don't know what's gotten the player to stop immediately. It went black.
Well, you know what? I think the power of Shatner, the power just leaps off the screen. You can't. You cannot deny.
Let them die.
You cannot deny the power of Bill Shatner. You just can't. You know.
Yeah.
So
I was witness to that.
Yes.
So nice addition, Rob.
It is a nice addition.
And actually, I was happy that it wasn't. I thought it really bigger, considering the picture. So I was actually quite surprised. Okay, it's nice. It's not too huge.
What did you think of the transfer on Star Trek 6?
I haven't seen it, Rob. Only watched it on Paramount Plus. I haven't watched it this yet. Didn't get around to it.
Okay.
Didn't
All
get
right.
around to it. I watched Star Trek 6 first, Rob. Perhaps I will go from 6
Oh,
to
but that's
to
what I
1.
mean. That's what I mean. What did you think of the transfer of Star Trek 6?
For me, it was great. Better than the Blu-ray, because the old Blu-ray, there was only one, had always the official sharpening back from
Yeah,
the
the
DVD,
DVNR.
HD
The
master.
noise,
Still,
it was terrible.
and yeah, and that is luckily it's gone. But I wouldn't say that it's a demo disc, because the close-ups are very nice, but the wider shots are a little bit more soft for my.
Do you know what's really interesting about Star Trek 6? All of the Star Trek movies, Star Trek 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, were all shot in anamorphic Panavision.
Okay.
So they were shot with anamorphic lenses. Star Trek 6 was actually shot with spherical lenses. So when you're shooting with anamorphic lenses, it stretches the image, and it needs to make it widescreen. Star Trek 6 was shot with an open matte, which they matted down into widescreen.
Yeah.
So that it was not shot with anamorphic lenses, probably because anamorphics require more light and they have less depth of field, and maybe because the budget of the movie of Star Trek 6 was not huge, that they wanted to be more nimble and get more out of their days. So the decision was made. Now, I don't know if this is true or not. I'm just speculating. But the decision was made to shoot spherically as opposed to... And by the way, James Cameron has only ever shot movies spherically. He's never shot any of his movies anamorphically because he wants more lens choices and things like that. Anamorphic photography kind of locks you in, especially if you're shooting with prime lenses with fixed focal lengths. I know now I'm in the weeds, but anyway, Star Trek 6, of the first six Star Trek movies, it was the only one not shot with anamorphic lenses. So maybe that had something to do with because the wide photography might have been blown up. I don't know why it's softer, but that would be my guess.
Yeah. So I could probably Star Trek 5 could actually perhaps look better than Star Trek 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I only watched Star Trek 6 until now.
Well, okay. We'll still have time. You'll be able to watch more.
Yeah.
Dieter.
Okay. So where do we go, Rob? Should I do a letter?
Yeah, why not? Do a letter.
Because they are not extensively long. We have 3 short ones. The first one comes from Brian Knight, and especially for Europe. Robert, are you a secret cricket fan? Robert, twice now you have mentioned the acquisition of India cricket television by Disney on the John Campea show. I've been watching cricket for the last 20 years on Willow Cricket, gave up on American baseball and football, excluding Pac-10 college football. Are you in secret a cricket fan?
That's a good question. Yes. So, there was an Indian movie that came out called Lagan, that actually Columbia put it out, that I watched, and I didn't know much about cricket. I mean, I knew of it. I'd seen a cricket bat. But it wasn't until... So I watched that movie. I was interested in cricket as a game. But it's one of those things where, I'm interested in most things. I find the world an interesting place. So there are very few things that I would be disinterested in. Like, I don't care what your interests are. It could be the most obscure thing in the world. I would listen to you opine about your interests for an hour just because I want to know about them. But it wasn't until I went to New Zealand when I was working on Lord of the Rings that I was in Wellington, and they had a cricket stadium there. And one of the I forget her name, one of the girls that was one of the PAs, I think, who was working in post on, at the time, I want to say when we were down there, Return of the King was still being worked on. And for when we were doing Two Towers, Return of the King was still being shot. And so I went to some cricket matches. And then I ended up playing cricket. And what was really cool about New Zealand is, like, a lot of the people that were working on Lord of the Rings, they would have these cricket matches. And they'd be like, okay, on Sunday we're all gonna show up at the pitch or at the cricket field, at like 10 o'clock, we'll play an inning, and then we'll cook out, and then we'll play the second inning. And, you know, in LA, if you were to do that, half the people just wouldn't show up and they wouldn't tell you. But everybody showed up on time, and I got to play cricket, and I had a great time. I got a number of hits. You know, it was very difficult to shift from American baseball to cricket, but I really enjoyed playing. I thought it was terrific. It was so much fun, and it was a lot of fun to play, and it was a very social game. So I am a cricket fan, and I don't think Disney ended up getting that contract. Somebody said that, I guess it was Paramount that got the cricket. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but it's a big contract because cricket is obviously very popular in India, so it makes sense. But I don't know anything about professional cricket, but I do like the game. So there you go.
There you go. Right. There you go. The next one comes from our friend Vincent from France. His headline is Dolby Atmos. Hi Rob, guten Tag Dietz and Imagination Connoisseurs. Can you explain how Dolby Atmos tracks are produced and the costs associated? Older films are given this kind of tracks, so this means some remastering is done to create additional channels. Is DTS-X better than Dolby Atmos? I will just, for my take, Vincent, answer the last one. It all depends on the mix. You know, you can't
100%.
say Dolby Atmos is better than DTS. I have heard great DTS tracks. I heard great Dolby tracks. Rob can attest to it. Great AC3 tracks from the old Laserdisc days that are certainly better than their DVD counterpart.
Yep.
So it doesn't depend on DTS or what is better. It all depends who's behind the wheel driving the mix board, because they are masters too, you know. So it all depends on the mix itself. And Rob perhaps can take the question: how are Dolby Atmos tracks produced and costs associated?
Well, I mean, Dolby Atmos tracks are produced like any other film soundtrack. What Atmos is it gives you... So when we started to have digital sound, like Dolby Digital 5.1, for people that don't know, what that means is that the signal is being specifically directed to different speakers. So with a 5.1 setup, you have your center mono channel where the dialogue comes from, a dedicated mono channel. Then you have your stereo left and right speakers where you usually get your music, your sound effects, and what that does is it spreads the music and sound effects away from the dialogue. So you can hear these things much better, and sound effects are directed to the channels. You can, where before, if you just had a stereo mix and you panned your dialogue or whatever center, it was not as directed. But with digital, you can actually send things, and then you have two rear surround channels, and then your 0.1 in the 5.1 is your dedicated subwoofer, your low frequencies. So now we have much more expansive sound fields. There's 7.1, 9.1, 11.1. So what an Atmos track is, it's the same thing. It's directed sound, but wherever they put the speakers, usually overhead. So literally, if somebody wants to, if they're trying to create a sound field where it's raining, like Apocalypse Now or something, there'll be sound of rain coming right above you. And what it does is it creates more of a sound field, more of an environment. Now, when they have an Atmos mix, it depends how much money you're going to spend. Like normally, you need to go back in, you need to go into the stems, and you need to do a remix. But I would suspect, and I don't know this for a fact because I've never really talked to somebody about the difference between a regular 5.1, 7.1, 9.1, 11.1 mix. You would still have to go in and you could take your Dolby mix that even already exists and you can add Atmos to it. So if you're only interested in going in and adding Atmos effects to an existing sound mix, you could do that. And that would mean if you took a 5.1 mix and turned it into an Atmos mix, maybe that would become 7.1 depending on how you did that. But a 7.1 mix usually means you have side surrounds and back surrounds. Like here in the Robservatory, I have the ability, I can do 9.1 in here. Right now, I have 7.1. because I have a 5.1 surround sound system, and then I've got 2 Atmos speakers. So I have 7.1 in here, which, by the way, is thunderous. If you could hear it a mile away if I cranked up the volume. My neighbors would hate me. But if you ever come here, Dieter, we'll turn this shit up, son. We'll tune it out.
Of course.
Or tune it up.
I will have to hear what Rob has to offer me.
Yeah.
But don't forget, the core, the 5.1, has to be always intact.
Yeah. I mean, and look, in terms of the difference between DTS and Dolby Digital, it really depends on, what the bit rate is. I believe that DTS was just a higher bit rate. There was less compression. And I do believe that DTS is better than Dolby Digital. Like, if you're competing against DTS and Dolby Digital, I think DTS wins. It's a much more punchy and powerful. Again, this is back in the day. I haven't kept up on my specs, but you're right. I mean, that's why people collect DTS mixes for Laserdisc. One of the great benefits is some of those mixes were never ported over to DVD or Blu-ray, and they're just better. But again, it's proprietary. Like, not everything has DTS. Just like, if you want to have a Dolby Digital mix, if you're a filmmaker and you have to pay for a license. And like, I want to say that DTS was proprietary to Universal for a while. Like, that's why.
I think so.
If I remember correctly,
I think it was with Jurassic Park. Was it introduced with Jurassic Park? Or was
yes, I want to say.
movie?
I want to say that's what, at least on Laserdisc. I'm an old man now, so all of my knowledge
And we had, Rob, the Sony Dynamic Digital System, the SDDS, which was with the last action year, which you had 5 front channels, but it didn't. But it did get away with 5 front channels.
Yeah, I mean, it's again, it really just depends. I mean, what's really interesting about here, I've thought about adding more surround channels in here, but this room isn't big enough. I mean, if I were to put side surrounds, like, I was kind of pissed when I got my new, I have a Pioneer Elite amplifier, and at first I was kind of pissed. I'm like, I could put side surrounds, but if I had side surrounds in here, it would just sound like mud. What you want with a surround sound system is definition. You want to be able to use that sound and really hear. It's funny. John Campia has this new projector. He's got this new home theater room, and I'm like, you're running a sound bar. He's got a perfect room to buy a really nice amplifier and get a 7.1 system in there. But he just,
he uses a sound bar?
Yeah. Come on. Yeah, well, that's what I told him. I'm like, bro, invest in, like, I bought that. You can find out of the box like a decent Klipsch system that's like $2,500 that comes with, it'll rock your world. And look, I wouldn't say people who are high-end home theater enthusiasts, but I mean, you can get with $5,000, you can get into a huge thunderous sound system. That's what I got in here. And, I wouldn't put it up against somebody's. I mean, I've seen people's home theaters that they have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of speakers in their house.
Yeah.
One particular friend of mine, I think, has 50 speakers in his sound system.
And considering what you said, Rob, making sure the dialogue is on the center, but there are, especially considering Pixar, some mixes where you have the dialogue coming. If the character is not in the center of the picture, a little more to the left or right, where the dialogue's actually traveling a little bit more to the left.
Oh yeah, well that's part of the mix.
Right.
That's definitely the mix. So exactly. Dialogue's not all. I mean, a great sound mix is.
This is something that only works, especially if you have, let's say, a projector with speakers behind the curtain.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still. I think it's
behind the screen.
Yeah, I think it still works no matter where, because directional sound. Like, one of my favorite things to put on. One of my favorite is the beginning of Apocalypse Now, where you actually hear the helicopters fly all the way around you, and it's a great, because that's all you hear. You just hear the and they fly all around, and the doors, the end comes up, and it's a great. I mean, the sound mix of Apocalypse Now is still, to my mind, one of the greatest sound mixes of all time. Walter Murch just fucking knocked that shit out of the park. I mean, it's, and nowadays, like everything else, the art of sound mixing is not as elegant as it used to be.
No.
like many things.
I think they were a little bit more playful at the beginning, Rob, when their 5.1 was a little bit new on the market. They were a little bit more playful with it.
Yeah,
at the beginning.
Absolutely. By the way, our friend Marcus Bisma just sent in a super chat and said he just saw Kurosawa's Ron on 4K. It's my new favorite 4K disc. I have 2 versions of that. I did not get the domestic. I have the European. It's incredible. That disc is incredible. And if you like Kurosawa's Ron, I mean, the colors alone, my God.
Nice, Marcus.
Yeah. So anyway, that was a geeky sidebar.
And considering our Star Trek Collector's Edition, Rob, you did send me a letter just before the show. It comes from Chris Evans, and he says,
Captain America himself.
Dear Rob, Dear Rob and Dieter, longtime viewer since episode 1. That's great, Chris. Thanks for still sticking with us. Regarding the 4K Blu-ray release of Star Trek The Motion Picture, the Director's Edition, glorious as it is, I have noticed that there is a skipped frame during the cloud sequence, chapter 19, at around 1 minute 52 to 55 seconds. It's present on both the 4K and regular 1080p Blu-ray, and is something that isn't there on the previous theatrical version. Granted, the sequence was trimmed for the Director's Edition. What are the chances that Paramount could be made aware and rectify this and issue new discs? Keep up the great work with the show. Best wishes from Liverpool in the UK. Chris, I have no idea about that skipped frame. I have heard nothing about it.
Yeah, I saw this for the first time in a theater at Paramount, and I didn't notice it. Look, I think the people that did, like my friends Darren and Dave Fine, Mike Mendocino, all the guys that worked on this director's cut, it was done at a bargain basement level. I mean, they were given money to do it, but they weren't given enough time and enough money. So there's a lot of things in it. As much as I like the Dolby Atmos mix, it's pretty terrific. There are things that they could have used another 2 or 3 months to refine. There's certain effect shots. There's certain things. They just didn't have enough time and money to do it. So it wouldn't surprise me if a slipped frame or a missing frame is there. I wouldn't imagine that Paramount would recall the discs for that. They've got enough problems with their War of the Worlds and When Worlds Collide disc right now. So I don't imagine that they would.
Is there a problem with that? With
the color timing on War of the Worlds is off, and then there's a brownish hue to, and again, it is incredibly frustrating. I talked to George Feltenstein this week. I called him up about a professional matter that was totally unrelated to. I needed to find out where to get a certain kind of a videotape transferred. He was very helpful. I love that guy, and I mean, he just lives and breathes movies and transfers, and he's always out there fighting the good fight in terms of getting stuff done. He told me some things I can't reveal that are very exciting that are coming down the pipeline. All I can say is that next year is Warner Brothers' 100th anniversary, and hopefully the studio, the beaten and demoralized studio, they're looking to cut money wherever they can. Hopefully they'll pull out all the stops. I know that George, he has a lot of. We talked about. He did say to me that the Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde from the early 30s, a movie that I think is 91 years old now. George was telling me that the new transfer is absolutely incredible. So that's Warner Archive knocking it out of the park again, and they're upping their production schedule moving into 2023. So that's very exciting. But even talking to George, it's very difficult. The studios have to figure out where does the money. People think studios just have a money, like a cave where they have money in. They just go and take money out of that cave, but they don't. They have operating budgets that are set, and so when they have these projects, they have to figure out how are we going to get the money to make these restorations, and a lot of the time they don't have the money. They don't have the kind of money that they really need to do things properly, and the fact that we got a remastered Star Trek The Motion Picture disc at all is pretty miraculous. But should it be done right? Yes. But when you have basically a group of fans, they're professional fans, but fans that are trying to get this done, and they're underfunded and undermanned, this kind of stuff happens. So I thought what they did was great, and the sound mix in particular is pretty spectacular. But I don't know. I did send an email to Darren Doctorman about this issue, and I have not heard back from him yet.
Okay. Perhaps next week we will know more. One last letter left from Kenny Crayley Jr. And he asked about why would Warner Brothers and Warner Archive want to get rid of his physical media department. Hello, Rob and Dieter. First off, gentlemen, great show as always last week. Lots of great releases the past 2 weeks. Lots of Star Trek on 4K and Elvis on 4K as well. Now on to my question, comment for the week. Why would Warner Brothers Discovery would want to get rid of Warner Archive and want to get rid of their physical media department and drop it? First off, I don't think they can. You have to have 100th anniversary, like you said, Rob, of the studio coming up in 2023, plus lots of Warner Brothers titles for TV shows and movies still come out on physical media. I hope they're meaning Warner Brothers does not to be the next Disney Plus and only releases certain things on disc and physical media. Well, guys, those are my thoughts on this. What are yours? Sincerely, longtime watcher and physical media collector, Kenny Crayley Jr. from Ohio. So Rob has always has already a little bit delved into that.
Well, Kenny, that's a really good question. First of all, they shouldn't. I mean, the thing about Warner Archives is here's the real problem. I mean, ultimately, is that for the most part, our pop culture, and I've always said this before, has a 20-year lifespan. That's kind of its half-life. After 20 years, the interest people have, especially in older movies, wanes. And so there's something called the long tail, which is the concept, like if you go into a jukebox that has like 10,000 songs, or if it's unlimited now with Spotify and Pandora, whatever jukeboxes can have everything. But if you have a jukebox that has 10,000 songs on it, interestingly, over a period of time, all 10,000 of those songs will get played. But some of those songs will be at the top. More popular songs, whatever. But everything has kind of a long tail. But the long tail means when it's at the top, it's at its peak, it's steep, the drop-off is steep, but then it levels out and its long tail goes forever. The problem is when you're dealing with motion pictures, it's very expensive to transfer movies, to do 4K remasters, to do remixes, because it's all labor intensive. It requires people to monitor these things. You have to make sure that the film prints or the negative is taken care of. And the real question is, and this is what all of the streaming services are going to ask themselves, okay, let's say Warner Archive, which is doing the Lord's work by preserving Warner Brothers' legacy. Even I hear it from film aficionados. People say, well, why isn't Warner Archive giving us these major marquee titles? And it's like they were major marquee titles in like 1945, or 1950. It's just that our memory of films diminishes as the years go by. And now we have a population of young people. I think the younger generation, it's a little better, but millennials actively shun older movies. But I think that's changing. I mean, I think the Generation Z is finding more value in older music. They're going to the spectrum of years to find different things. But how does a studio know, like if we're going to transfer a movie and it costs, say, $200,000 to do an entire restoration of a film, where are they going to get that money back? How are they going to get, even if they put it out on physical media, how many copies are you going to sell? Let's say you sell the conventional wisdom for soundtrack albums, for instance, was everyone knew, like Lucas Kendall, when he had his film score, a monthly label, soundtrack aficionados and soundtrack companies, they knew that there were 3,000 people in the world, only 3,000, that would buy soundtracks. No matter what soundtrack came out, there was 3,000 people in the world that would buy every soundtrack that came out. That's not even true anymore. There's a lot less than 3,000 people because as the years go by, when was the last time you bought a soundtrack album, Dieter?
Oh, that has to be a long time.
Yeah, because soundtracks are not iconic anymore.
Yeah.
The music is, so there's no, movie soundtracks used to be iconic, and now they're not. So you have a whole generation of people that they have no idea. Why would you collect a movie soundtrack? You might get the Harry Potter music, or you might get Raiders of the Lost Ark or Star Wars or something. But, if you talk about John Williams, and I were to say to someone, man, you got to hear his score for Brian De Palma's 1978 The Fury. That's a great John Williams score. People look at me and go, what? So as the years go by, our culture, they have less and less reason to keep these things around. And Warner Archive, by definition, is a division of Warner Brothers that's only going to be spending money. Here's the thing. They're making money, too, because they are selling physical media. They're licensing out older films around the world. So they are generating revenue. But the real question is, why should a studio spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and then hundreds or millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars, restoring their catalog? I think George told me that 70% of the movies that Warner actually has in their library has not even been on home video at all. A lot of old movies, a lot of television shows, a lot of things that they're sitting on in their archives. And my answer to that is, all of this stuff will have a long tail. If you put it up on HBO Max, eventually somebody's going to watch it. Now, is the cost-benefit analysis such that we should just put everything up there? And I would say it is, because eventually all of that stuff will be on your streaming service, and people will always find it. If it's all right there, and you're like, if you like these movies, or let's say you just decide you're sick one day and you're like, I'm going to watch classic screwball comedies from the 1940s. You never know. So I believe that our cultural and our art, especially the art of cinema, which has only existed for 100 plus years, should all be preserved. But the problem is, where does that money come from? How do you justify, if you're a publicly held company and you're spending money and you're not seeing enough of a return back on that money, if you're not getting, say, 20% back on your cash that you're spending, why are you spending that money? Everybody's going to look at I think this is the problem with the modern age. Some things are worth it. It's the reason why there's so much. We have a big homeless population here in the United States, because there is no immediate monetary return helping homeless people. And I would say that in the long run, your benefits are not in the next fiscal quarter. They might be 10 years from now. But by helping people get off the streets and stopping addiction and getting their lives together, inherently that benefits society, but not necessarily on a spreadsheet. And I think the problem is everybody wants to make money, which I totally understand. But how do you justify spending? I mean, the fact that we're getting Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, a 91-year-old movie restored, by the way, from the nitrate original. And we're going to get the best version of that movie ever. Of the people even watching this show right now, how many of you are excited about buying Warner Archive's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde? How many people are going to watch it? How many people find value in it? Yeah. And that's the problem with the world we live in. I agree with Kenny. We need to preserve art for its own sake. And America, we're not so good at that in this country, whereas other countries like France are. So we shall see.
There you go, Kenny.
That's a long answer. We thought the show was going to be short.
Short. Exactly, Rob. So why don't we show some physical media? Who starts, Rob?
Well, you go ahead.
Okay. First, a little bit music, Rob. I didn't get around to watch it, to hear it, actually. I bought Pink Floyd, Rob, The Animals, with the new...
Oh, I hear it's incredible.
Mix. Okay.
Have you played it?
No, Rob, I didn't get around to it. I will make some time. It has a booklet in it. My friend was not too thrilled with the packaging, but I actually like it. It's a little bit...
I heard... That was supposed to come out in 2018, but apparently David Gilmour and Roger Waters were arguing over the liner notes.
As always, Rob. As always. I totally believe you. So, Animals with a 5.1, or there were three mixes of the Animals album.
I love that record, too.
The next one, I hope we all don't find something under your bed. So...
And it's uncut.
Get in the back, Rob. Uncut, Rob. This is always a good thing in Germany. You always have to be careful. Still, here in Germany, if it's uncut. So get in the back, under the bed, from, let me just see, a Japanese movie. As I see, the track is Japanese one. Under your bed. Hope it's good, but at least it's uncut, Rob. It doesn't say it's good, but at least it's uncut. Under the bed. The next one. I rather have a kick to the groin than watch more twerking from my karate girl. This is the kick to the groin edition from Rina Takeda, and it did take a long time that it actually got a release in the States here. It's was out a long time in
Karate
Germany
Girl.
here.
Is there like a Karate Girl series? So that's Karate Girl Kick to the Groin. Is there other Karate Girl movies?
No, there's High Kick Girl. This was the movie before this one, but it's not really a series. So
Too
they're
bad.
not masterpieces, but I love that they switched a little bit the artwork under the slipcover. So this one I've gotten from America. The next one I've remembered it from Charles Lauzarica. Reminded me of the movie, and I did get it from Australia from Imprint. I got the Beast, Rob.
Oh, that movie's so good.
I remember, Rob. I really remember it only from the VHS days. I don't think I have a DVD of the movie or even something else. So this is probably the first time I buy the movie on a physical media.
And by the way, I
CD
believe
form.
that disc is sold out. I believe
Oh,
you can't go
okay.
to the Imprint website and get it. I have to say, Imprint's doing the Lord's work. Oh, look at that.
So, the Beast from Imprint. Because Charlie posted it on Instagram, I believe, and I thought, have to probably get it. The Beast. Okay, Rob. This was a little bit of the first haul.
Well, I got from Shout Factory, although I have not watched it, Platoon.
I heard
Platoon in
some
4K.
discrepancies about the reviews.
Yeah, I've heard the transfers is iffy. I mean, this is a best picture. And it's coming out
Okay.
from Shout Select. See, this is the problem. Like, why isn't this? I mean, I understand rights issues and things like that. I know it was a Hemdale movie or whatever, but I mean, I had to get it. It's Platoon. This movie's incredible. I love it, but I hear that there's problems with the transfer. Don't know what those problems are. Then I couldn't resist this. Voyage into Space. Johnny Sacco. And this is actually a compilation movie that's taken from 3 episodes of the television series of Giant Robot. I love my Japanese sci-fi, and this is delightful. So, who put this out? I don't even know who put this out. Oh, it's MGM. So, hey, that
Nice.
came out. Voyage in Space. Had to get that. And then a movie I haven't seen that was on Shudder, George Romero's
great.
film, The Amusement Park.
Oh.
I have yet to see this. It was on Shudder. I didn't watch it. It's George Romero,
Okay.
one of my favorite filmmakers. Anything he does, thank you, Shudder. They're always putting out their exclusives on disc. Very much appreciated, Shudder. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for that.
Certified fresh.
It is certified fresh, yes. About an old man who's losing his marbles at an amusement park. I'm all in. So, yeah, there's 3 titles I got. I have more, but,
Okay. Should I go through the live chat?
Yeah, why
Or
not?
do you want to do the super chat? Okay, the live chat.
Oh, you know what?
From-
Let me see if
Yeah.
I don't know if there are
Yeah.
super chats, to be honest.
There
Hang
was-
on, there are super chats.
Yeah.
Somewhat we said, Mark, Undead Sick.
Sick.
Undead Sick
Yeah.
says, to be honest, I'm still very skeptical about the new Hellraiser, given its lackluster
Okay.
sequel history, but I will give it a shot. I'm meeting Doug
Sick.
Bradley at Horror Canuck. Is that in Canada next year in May, though? Yeah, look, I think that there's a reason we can all be dubious of the Hellraiser movies because there's not a big track record for sequels there. So yeah,
Not really.
so there you go. But that's cool that you're meeting Doug Bradley. Apparently, he was asked to be in the movie but declined. I don't know if that's true, but hey. Mista47 says, I wasn't super hyped for Avatar 2, but after catching the re-release in IMAX 3D,
Yeah.
I have turned a new leaf, and I can't wait.
Ooh.
Hopefully a 4K UHD disc version of the first film is also on the way. Look, I have maintained that there is a weird... there's something weird in the fan community. There's an Avatar backlash that I think people... I don't know why it is, because Avatar is one of the most singularly astonishing theatrical experiences you can ever have. If you go see it in IMAX 3D, it's astonishing. Absolutely astonishing. And people forget. Never bet against James Cameron. And when you go back and you see Avatar in IMAX 3D, I've just heard from people they've forgotten. They're like, oh my God, I forgot how great this movie is. Yeah, this weird because you know what? Avatar isn't cool. Until, it's not cool. Oh, it's Ferngully in space. It's Pocahontas. Classical storytelling. Yeah, it's very meat and potatoes as far as story is concerned, but the execution is chef's kiss. And now that people are going back and seeing it in IMAX 3D, they're like, oh, right, this was made by James Cameron, who knocks it out of the park every time. So I love seeing people going back, like Mr. 47 here, saying, I wasn't excited about it, but then I actually went and saw it, and I forgot. There's a reason why Avatar is the number one film of all time. I get it. So I think that's why they re-released it. Like I've always said, movies speak for themselves. Paul Nolan says, I watched Cloak and Dagger today, and I liked it. Now, did you get the Vinegar Syndrome release of Cloak and Dagger in 4K?
No, I haven't.
I don't know if Paul did.
What version Paul watched.
And then we've got Stubble McShave says, Dieter, I see that you have a Kung Fury t-shirt on. Are you looking forward to the sequel, the feature-length movie that's supposed to come out later this year?
Oh, nice double. I didn't actually know about the status of the movie. But luckily, you informed me. So let's go, Kung Fury. Nice. And speaking Kung Fury, Rob, have you watched Cobra Kai season 5?
Oh yeah, I have. By the way, it has one of the most satisfying moments of the year when a certain fight between Mr. Silver and Daniel-san. And I you know what? I was like, fuck yes! I was. I mean, it's
exactly wrong.
It's pretty quick. It's pretty quick.
Yeah,
but
quick.
Man, was it satisfying! It was like fucking. It was. And isn't that why we watch it anyway?
Yeah.
I mean,
exactly.
And it was like, golf clap. Come on now.
There's nothing more important in the valley than karate dojos. What more can you ask for?
But it's funny. Like you said, it started out a little weird. The season started out a little strange.
For me, Rob, the first two episodes was the Mexico stuff.
And I understand they had to resolve that story, I guess. But like you said, I know they're going to do a season 6, but do they have to?
Yeah, I don't know, Rob.
Do we need
actually
a season
because
6? Do we?
Because all storylines wrapped up nicely with the fifth one now. So I don't know how you will get the motor running again for a season 6 because the storylines were all resolved more or less. But we have to close with a tournament, Rob. So perhaps we should get a season 6.
It's true. But yeah,
because Rob. Considering Cobra, I always fear the next season will probably make a dip in the quality, and until now they always proved me wrong.
Yeah, yep. What a bummer.
Yeah, why not? So, are we through with super chats?
Yeah, we are caught up. People
Okay.
you can still send them in, but we are caught up. Oh, actually, you know what? Brian Doyle just sent one in and says, did you get a chance to look at the first releases from the new UK Blu-ray label Radiance Films, which is being run by Fran Simoni, who used to be head of Arrow Films? No, I have not.
Oh, no.
I will have to do that. Arrow was bought by Zavvi. So I will look that up. I'm going to see what their first releases are as we speak. So... yes, we're caught up, Dieter. What should we do now? Hang on.
Okay, let me skim through the live chat from 2 weeks ago. Previously on Let's Get Physical Media. And one thing that made me sad, Rob, I didn't get my concert review. And as Beam said, a friend of mine was at the Rammstein when they were here last weekend. And that's sick, 83. Rammstein rules. My all-time favorite band, Rob. Thilo Grimm says, Rammstein just celebrating worst German cliches. Yeah, Thilo, but in a satirical way. That's the great thing about them. Victor Fontaine Why start, considering Wall-E and the Criterion 4K release? Why start with a title that already has a 4K release? Needed to start with a Black Hole 4K or 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea 4K. Those I would be excited about. And Mala asked, Dieter, are we going to get Contact 4K from Warner Brothers? That would be nice if we would get.
I think we probably will be getting Contact in 4K. I can't confirm or deny that. I've heard nothing. That was something I should have asked. George. I didn't ask him. But
considering our letter writer Kenny, Kenneth was in the chat too, of course. Disney teaming up with the Criterion Collection for future 4K releases of their films is huge, and hopefully it opens the door for more to be released. Okay.
Look, my if they're doing this, the first thing I thought of, I want Criterion to do a 4K of 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. Please make it happen. Please make it happen.
Make it happen. Okay. After me, Roberto Suarez will take the lead on the member chat call, and he was in the live chat too. Was Pixar owned by Disney when Wall-E came out, Rob? Do we know that from the head? Was it already Disney when Wall-E came out, or was it still Pixar itself?
No, Wall-E's a Pixar film.
But was Pixar owned by Disney when Wall-E came out already?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure. Let me find out.
It's probably on the line of it. I don't know when Disney actually bought Pixar.
Disney bought Pixar in 2006.
Okay, and Wall-E is from...
Wall-E came out in 2008. So yes, Wall-E, Disney already owned Pixar when Wall-E came out.
Okay. Channel Surf. Disney was the last to get into DVD at the beginning. No surprise, they'll be the first out. God damn it. And that's sick. What the hell is that, Dieter? That is some sloppy bullshit. And he was talking, of course, about the botched cover that I got. And the man sent it back, Deeds, get a refund. Okay. But Channel Surf said that makes it more collectible. I don't think so, Channel Surf. A botched cover? Perhaps not. Stubble McShave. The girl in Sharkbait is overdressed for Dieter's taste. Well, Stubble, speak for yourself. Okay? For me, that is just fine as it is. And Roberto Suarez, Sharkbait is what locals called me in Hawaii. Okay? Roberto Suarez, I've stayed away from any Barbarian reviews and trailers because people have been saying to go in knowing nothing. And Roberto, that's always a good idea to go into movies knowing nothing. Lord Toth, I'm always jealous of your haul, Robin Deeds. Lord Toth, you don't need to be jealous. You can order this stuff yourself. If you have money to spare. Mr. 47, Barbarian is great. Okay?
It is.
Tom Jr. Jackson, I own the Blu-ray of Moonfall. Well, Tom, you may buy all the Criterion collections you want, but in your hearts of hearts, you're a Trash Panda too. You know?
That's Trash Panda status. You know, I don't mean to. You know, I don't want to dish your fellow German, and I'm a Roland Emmerich fan because he makes A-list trash. But even I watched Moonfall, and I'm like, bruh, come on,
bro. No, exactly. Roberto Suarez, one of the topics today is, of course, Rings of Power. Still on board or still on board? Okay. And Tim Hens said, most likely the latter. And considering the last episode, Rob, I'm starting to lose interest myself. It's going a little bit in the same wave as Wheels of Time that I'm starting to lose my interest. So hopefully the last 3 episodes will pick something up, but let's see about that. PM Ferreira, thank goodness for PAL. He means the PAL system with NTSC and PAL. Well, PM Ferreira, luckily both systems are gone because PAL had to speed up, so none of the systems were exactly up to the task for my taste, because the speed up from PAL was always okay. So you got a little bit better picture quality, but the sound was sped up, so okay. Pod Racing Palpatine, just back from seeing Jaws 3, Jaws 3D, and then you say nothing, Pod Racing Palpatine. Just give us a little bit more than just came back, okay? Give us your take on the movie. Red Comet, I want Alita, Battle Angel 2, goddammit. We all want that, Red Comet. Lord Toss, I have been eyeing Wormwood Deeds. Thanks, I'll take a look. I hope so, Lord Toss, okay? Red Comet, didn't see X, can be I hated. Red Comet is really the bad Canadian kid, your go-to guy for movies, you know? Like the Big Disc Energy said last week, always do the opposite. And then you know X is actually a pearl of a movie. Okay?
I see what you did there.
You see what it... Thank you. Okay, Dieter, Alpetal, a friend from the Black Forest here in Germany. I will get X for you, but I will come after you if it's rubbish. You don't need to, Alpetal, because it's great. Okay? Markus Bismarck talked a little bit about Red Dawn. The Red Dawn remake is not bad. Actually, Markus, I thought the same thing. But Red Comet, I thought that Red Dawn remake was actually Chris Hemsworth. Laugh Out Loud wasn't a fan. Okay. And Tim Hens can remember watching Red Dawn in the 80s, didn't see what all the fuss was about. Okay. Considering Drive that I showed, Roberto Serrales reminded us Mark Dacascos is great in Brotherhood of the Wolf, and Iron Chef, which is I think a series on Netflix, I believe, at the moment. Iron Chef. Tim Hens said rather watch Triggered than Star Trek Into Dumbness again. And Rob, I watched Triggered, and actually a quite nice movie with people, have strapped a little bit bomb vest, and they have to kill each other, to survive the game. And the movie started really great, Rob, because you were thrown into the movie, and as usual, at this point in time, Rob, I'm expecting 3 weeks ago, 2 weeks ago, But no, the movie went on, and we get the stuff later, what was all about. It had a nice style to it. So, Rob, considering Jeepers Creepers Reborn, this would actually have been way nicer to see it in a movie theater. Triggered them, Jeepers Creepers Reborn. Okay?
Yeah.
And PM Ferreira said, can you ask Rob when the members chat is so I can be around for it? Well, PM Ferreira, it will be after our show. Rob will perhaps take a little break.
It's in 38 minutes.
Member chat.
It's in 38 minutes.
Then
member chats.
Then there will be member chat. And I saw someone in the live chat, Rob, it will be watchable for everyone, as far as I...
It's watchable for members.
Oh, for members. Okay.
For members.
Okay. And Rob, I know a little bit short on time, but I wanted to talk to you just a little bit. If you heard about the TIFF stuff, considering your about the People's Choker, about the movie, the People's Choker, which got pulled from TIFF because of the Joker stuff.
Yeah, I mean, basically, it's a Joker fan film. They called it the People's Joker, and they're trying to put it in a film festival, and it's a violation of copyright. And I'm sorry to say that I would have told the filmmakers, don't do it. I understand where they're doing a riff on the Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix's Joker. I get where they were going, but they even called the movie The People's Joker. They should have called it something else, and people would let people discover it. Warner Brothers came down hard on that, and as well they should have. So, I mean, I would like to see the film, but to put it in a film festival, to blatantly flaunt that you're violating Warner Brothers copyright, probably not the best course of action.
I just wanted to bring that stuff up. And one thing I saw on the internet, Rob, considering Possessor from Brandon Cronenberg, he has a new, perhaps you already know it, a new mystery thriller coming out that's called Infinity Pool. And one of my websites said it has gotten an NC-17 rating again.
God bless him. He's made 2 movies. He's made Antiviral, which I really liked, and he made Possessor, which I didn't like as much as I want to like, but it's still good.
So that was the live chat and two news article that I want just a little bit discuss.
Well, would you like to discuss some news?
Yeah.
So here's I'm gonna switch over the live output that you see to the actual broadcast.
Okay.
So you're seeing the actual broadcast, so I can have you chime in. Now, here we go. Here's some news of the world. Now, as we know, we are getting a 4K of Quentin Tarantino's first feature, Reservoir Dogs. But as we are wont to point out, terrible covers on discs. Now, here is the exclusive steelbook. It's the steelbook, and it has a clear plastic sleeve that has an ear on it. So when you take the steelbook out, the ear is revealed, and it says Reservoir Dogs twice, and you see blood in that iconic. Now I have to ask you, Dietz, what do you think of this cover? Yay or nay? Do you
follow? And then I just took a little look. I just saw the bloody ear, but not the reservoir stuff. So I just saw the bloody ear, and for me, why would you put a side character on the cover of a steelbook? But then I took a closer look, and I quite liked that cover, Rob, with the slip.
Well, here's
like it.
So you like, okay, so here's my question is, I don't believe that's the actor who plays Marvin Nash in the movie. It's just some random, maybe AI generated picture. I here's the thing. The only thing that I object to is, I get it, the iconic cutting off the ear, and I'm sure that it's, I mean, maybe I'll buy this. I don't know. It's the iconic scene in the movie, but is this all? This is not, I mean, I think about Stuck in the Middle with You and the ear cutting off scene, and maybe I think this is kind of funny. I just don't think it's the greatest steelbook, but maybe I have to buy it because of the novelty of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Perhaps it will look a little bit better in person when you have it live in front of you. You know?
Yeah.
Perhaps if it's shiny, Rob, it's shiny. If it's shiny.
So there you go. We've got that. Next, we got a Clint Eastwood movie. If you're a Beastie Boys fan, you have to love this film, High Plains Drifter, because you're a high plains drifter. I like this movie. Keanu Lorber's putting it out in 4K, which means it's not going to have a new Atmos mix or HDR, but hey, it's still in 4K, which, you've got to love that, I guess. And then, of course, they're being released as single discs, but Walter Hill's 48 Hours and another 48 Hours are coming out. You can buy these individually, or you can get them in this 2-pack. Another 48 Hours is not nearly as good as 48 Hours, but hey, I'd buy it. Now, Dietz, here's a movie coming out. It's a documentary that I think we all need. The History of Metal and Horror. Oh, yeah. We have to buy this and cover it just because it is a midnight metal. It's screaming, waiting to happen. So that's cool. The 4K of Don't Worry, Darling has already been announced. That is coming out. Obviously, this artwork is not final, but it's already coming out. So there you go. 101 Films out of the UK is putting out the pseudo-sequel to Death Race 2000, Death Sport. In the year 3000, there'll be no more Olympic Games, World Series, or Super Bowl. There'll only be Death Sport. I mean, this movie's not great, but I will buy it just to get this cover. And they're also putting out a great science fiction film from the mid-'70s as well, A Boy and His Dog, on Blu-ray. I love this movie. I've owned this movie. This is one of the very first VHSs I owned afterwards, so that's cool. There is a new Evil Dead 2 film set coming out in 4K, both Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 Dead by Dawn. That's cool. The single versions of Ip Man, Donnie Yen's Ip Man 1 and Ip Man 2 are coming out, which is exciting. We already have the box sets of all the 4 films, but hey, why not? There you go. And then here are the news, the top 10 Blu-ray sellers for the week. Again, Elvis, Minions, Where the Crawdads Sing, Lightyear, Jurassic World Dominion, Real Genius, 1883, A Yellowstone Origin Story, The Fog, which I love seeing The Fog on the top 10. Scream Factory released that domestically. Very cool. My Hero Academia and Doctor Strange. Now, these are just Blu-rays. Now, here are the top 5 home media sellers of all including, remember, DVD is still the largest home video format. So the percentage of Blu-rays are there next to that. Elvis is number 1. 49% were Blu-rays. So the other 51% were not. That's DVDs. Minions: The Rise of Gru, 51% were Blu-rays. Where the Crawdads Sing, 39% were Blu-rays. Again, so Where the Crawdads Sing, which is a chick flick, I think. Think about that. Only 39% of the new of the title was, in fact, Blu-ray. Lightyear came out, 55% were Blu-rays, and Jurassic World Dominion, also 55% were Blu-rays. Then we have our favorite top 10, our top 5 Blu-ray, actually top 4 Blu-ray 3D sellers. Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom is number 1. Top Gun, Minions, and Jurassic World 3D. Nothing new there. Nothing that exciting. Top 5 UHD. These are the 4K discs. And what's really interesting, if you look at this, the percentage of total unit sales. Platoon came out in 4K. That's number 1. 99% of the discs that sold were 4K because that was really the only format it was released in. It was the only option. The Fog actually came out in different formats, but most people bought it in 4K. And this speaks to, at least if you look at the what this tells us is that catalog titles in 4K are very popular. The Friday the 13th in 4K, which I didn't get, but I don't need that in 4K. Although you need everything in 4K if you like it, but whatever. It's Friday the 13th. 96%. The Batman 4K is still selling at 42%. Everything Everywhere All at Once at 37%. So there you go. There's all the news that's fit to print. I've got 3 more discs I will show. Do you have more to show?
I have 3 too, Rob.
All right. Well, there we go. I mean, I had to get this. Paramount, why they haven't been doing this from the beginning with their new catalog titles, I don't know. Adrian Lyne's Fatal Attraction in 4K. By the way, take note, everyone. This is the original key art. Or maybe it's the original home video art. Either way, come on, man. I want more classic art on my discs.
Yeah.
And then, Dieter, I never thought this day would come, but it has. One of the great teen films of the 80s and maybe my favorite Val Kilmer performance of all time. Real Genius. Not really sure about this new artwork, but
okay.
Different artwork on the cover, you know.
As it should be, Rob.
I adore this movie. This is a widescreen film. It looks terrific. I have not watched this transfer yet. I've only heard it's great. But this is one of my favorite 80s teen films. By the way, coincidentally, one of my other favorite 80s teen films that's very obscure is also coming out on Blu-ray next week. And it's a movie I thought that might never see the light of high definition, laser disc or transfer, whatever, is Keith Gordon's adaptation of Robert Cormier's novel, The Chocolate War. And if you've never seen The Chocolate War, it's so great. And it stars Jenny, well, it doesn't star her, but Jenny Wright from Near Dark is in it. It's a pretty dark film. It's set in a Catholic boys' school. If you've never seen The Chocolate War, it's a fantastic film. It has a great 80s soundtrack with bands like Yaz, and it's really, really, really great. I highly recommend it. I can't believe it's coming out on Blu-ray. Pre-order it. Everybody should buy it. It's coming out from MVP, the same company that released like Miami Blues, which, by the way, I looked into Radiance Films. They also have a version of Miami Blues, and it looks like their releases are pretty obscure so far, but they look pretty good. So that's exciting. And then finally, had to get this because I'm a Baz Luhrmann fan, and this looks incredible. Nice. Wow, what a transfer. What a soundtrack. Great. And then, finally, I did pick up Stephen King's latest, because I read everything he writes, Fairy Tale. And something that I highly recommend is Alex Ross's Fantastic Four graphic novel. Painted by Alex Ross, full circle. This is really, really good. And what's interesting is it's kind of Alex Ross does Jack Kirby. And I can't recommend this highly enough. Get it. Love it.
From the side, Rob? How thick is it?
It's not very thick.
Okay.
but it's a must own. He painted it. Really looking forward to this. And there's my discs for the week.
Okay, then I will take over, Rob, with my haul. Just little recommendations from my end. I watched Missing You, I showed last week. Nice Korean killer about a serial killer.
A nice Korean.
Sent to jail.
Are Korean killers nice?
Always, Rob. He gets sent to jail, comes out of the jail, but the detective is always immediately onto him because he knows he's up to no good, But there's something else inside the movie. So Missing You, nice recommendation from my end. And Rob, I finally got around to watch Killing Eve, the 4th season. And sometimes, Rob, when I like characters, I just like to hang out with them,
I agree.
There's not much going on. So I didn't get all the hate for season 4 because I quite enjoyed it. I enjoyed the stuff with Pam, the new assistant, and just hanging out with those characters. Jodie Comer is always great as this sort of psychopath. I quite still enjoyed the fourth season. I don't know how could you ended the season better, but I wasn't really on the hate train considering the 4th season. Then I watched with Christina Ricci. I watched Monstrous. It has a nice design, but strangely enough, Rob, I'm not the kind of guy who knows the foreshadowing, what will going on. But this movie, actually, after 5 minutes, I was already on the know what was going on, what will be the twist of the movie. Not to the full extent, but mostly. So in that regard, a little bit middle of the road. And what was strange, Rob, when the end credits start, we always know, normally it starts with directed by,
Yeah.
But this movie didn't. The director didn't even have, I can't remember any credit for him.
Wow, that's baller.
I don't know why. And considering, Rob, you always said Star Trek Discovery has, 20 executive producers?
Yeah.
Rob, this has easily, I think, 40 in the end credits. Easily executive producers. So this were the movies I watched. And considering the streaming, I finally did get around to watch Yellow Jackets, which I thoroughly enjoyed. Can't wait for the 2nd season of Yellow Jackets. Really nice recommendation from my end for Yellow Jackets. And I did get around to watch Day Shift, and I quite enjoyed it, Rob. Had a nice time with it. Certainly, for my taste, better than something like Red Notice. Nice action scenes, Scott Adkins was in it. How can I not say yes to Day Shift? And my last 3 purchases over the last 2 weeks. Another really cat in the bag. The movie is called The Cat.
Oh, yeah.
Korean movie. Korean media book. I hope my Korean seldomly disappoints me. So let me see if it's just called The Cat.
I've seen that movie. It's okay. It's not bad.
Oh, you have seen it. Okay.
I've seen that movie.
Nice one. So it's probably mostly the Korean media books I get. I don't always recognize that the movies are always a little bit older. They're not the newest ones. And before the show started, I always hope I get around to watch a movie, and I had a great time with Sweetie. You won't believe it. From the nice neighborhood of Kazakhstan, where the movie is made. And I really had a great time with it. It's not for everyone. It's about 3 friends who go on a fishing trip because he wants to get away from his nagging wife, and he just wants to have a nice quiet time. But let me see, Rob, where was this nice picture? Here we have the 3 friends that go on the fishing trip, and something like this can happen when you go fishing. When you go fishing, Rob,
It's because the fish are after you.
Yeah. So really, really nice recommendation from my end, Sweetie.
Does that go
believe it.
Does that go along with Why Don't You Just Die? The movie Why Don't You Just...
And it doesn't reach that kind of height, but it's
Okay.
still a nice one. Still a nice one. So if you clap it out, you can see all the crazy characters. And what was great, considering Monstrous, I was aware what will be probably the twist. I didn't know where the movie was going at any time, so it was always a great find what was coming around the corner. Sweetie, you won't believe it. Nice recommendation. And the last one, which I use as my special edition, in our section, Rob, movies I don't need, because I already have them, and there's not a new transfer, but I liked the cover, and if I like the cover, then I said, okay, I will buy it. I bought Albert Pune's Cyborg again as a bigger package, and I hope I can get everything out. But first, what came with the package, which was actually pretty nice, and it's actually not nicely done, is actually the chain that he has, around his neck, with our Saint Stavros. So this came with the package. So actually, pretty nice idea to throw that in. And now I will probably have a little bit trouble getting it out. And what we always like is when we get, different artworks.
Sure.
This is the back, So I hope I can get it out because it's very tight fit here. So we have at first the Digi.
Nice.
The movie comes with two different HD masters. One is from 2012, one is from, I think, 2017, but they were already out, and I totally love the transfers that were out. So considering the transfers, I actually didn't need it. And of course, I think probably a DVD, behind it, But even, you can see, even the disc says nice printing on it. And the movie came, now it will be getting trouble a little bit, getting this one out, because this is actually came separately. You can buy this one separately, but there is just enough room so you can put it in. This is the so-called Pune cut, which is called Slinger. I haven't seen it. Probably a work print, which you probably atrocious quality has. And this is actually separate, but you can put it in the box with it. And this comes as a 2-disc set itself. And just because you put it on a Blu-ray doesn't mean it's HD quality. But I haven't watched it, but I just expecting just some rough work print in it. But this is not all inside. This was just the back of the package. Inside it comes with a little Cyborg comic.
Not bad.
And even, Rob, a little bit of a booklet from the movie. So I couldn't resist, Rob. I couldn't resist. Cyborg is Jean-Claude Van Damme as a little bit of a nice collector's edition, but no new transfer, just what was already available. But how can I say no, Rob, to that cover artwork? It was too shiny. Okay.
Well,
this was my whole, Rob.
Okay, now I got a question for you. You know that we met because I needed to get was it Cape Light? Well, who put out Rollerball in Germany?
Yeah, Cape Light, exactly.
So I contacted you. You were a viewer of the channel. I'm like, bro, I need this 5-disc set.
Yeah.
Well, I come to you again.
Okay.
With there are some German titles, which are probably not on your radar. Now here's the thing.
Okay.
Frequently, you Krauts let me down. You Jerry's let me down. Because you put out movies in foreign languages and you don't include English language tracks because you're German.
I know.
Bro. Okay,
what is coming out?
Okay, it's 2 movies from one of my favorite directors.
Yeah.
Mr. Wong Kar-wai.
Okay.
Wong-Kar-wai.
They were released single-handedly, but now there will be coming a box coming out too, I believe.
Well, that'd be good. But here's Chungking Express, and its companion film, Fallen Angels. Dude, are they subtitled in English? I mean, I need to know. Don't let me down. I need to know, what is this box set? Are they doing the same thing Criterion did, but in 4? These are in 4K. I want them. Give them to me.
I will look into it, Rob, because I have 2 of the Wong Kar-wai movies, and just from my take, if the both I have, if they have English subtitles, I think all will have. I think they will have.
Well, that would be good because I want them.
I have to check, get into that, Rob. If they will put our come with English subtitles, which
I need
is
to know.
always which should always be a must. English subtitles is always a must.
By the way, Danzig 1979 says, great show, gentlemen. And then 200 Watt Studio says, isn't it weird that suddenly a bunch of films only available on Stinky Tuna are finally being officially released? No, I'm thank God that the tuna train is forcing those movies to get released.
Yeah.
Fernando Barrero is here. Fernando says, hello, gentlemen. Dieter, what is your favorite German movie that was never adapted by Hollywood? Can you tell us about it?
A favorite German that was never adapted by Hollywood. Were there any good movies that could be adapted? Okay. I would think about it. We'll try to get back to you next week. From the top of my head, a movie that I think they could were never done an American remake. Have to think about it.
All right. Fernando, and this is important.
Sorry, Fernando.
You should think about it. It's cool. You can't be called. I understand. Fernando then says, what can you tell us about it? Then he says, Robert Meyer Burnett, RMB, watching you last night with Latino Slant, Paulie from Latino Slant, talking about Taylor Hackford's film Blood In, Blood Out. I was curious, but I couldn't find it streaming anywhere. Blood In, Blood Out is very hard to find, but you know what, Fernando? You watch this show, and I have already dropped into the live chat. I dropped into the live chat a link where Blood In, Blood Out, somebody in their geniusness took probably the Anchor Bay DVD, which is the last time it was released. And there's 2 versions of Blood In, Blood Out. There's the original 3-hour plus version, and then there's a cut-down version called Bound by Honor. But it was released 15 years ago on DVD as Blood In, Blood Out, Bound by Honor. And it is available on YouTube. So if you punch in Blood In, Blood Out 4K, I put the link in the live chat. You have to scroll back through a little bit. If you go to YouTube, Blood In, Blood Out, the 3-hour plus version is on YouTube. Somebody used AI or whatever and made a 4K version of it. It's not perfect, but it is there, and you can watch it in its entirety. And if you've never seen Blood In, Blood Out, I like to call it the Islos Godfather. Vatos locos forever. You have to see it. It's very, very good. I love that film. And, of course, Paulie on Latino Slant and Midnight's Edge put together. We had a cast reunion with director Taylor Hackford that you can watch after the movie on YouTube. It was amazing, which is great.
But there's no Blu-ray of the movie.
No. No.
Okay.
And I would love to get it. I mean, I love the film. Of course, Taylor Hackford directed Officer and Gentleman, and he directed Devil's Advocate. I mean, a bunch of other movies. I'm a huge fan of Taylor Hackford, but I love Blood In, Blood Out. And it's one of those movies that was made under I think it's either Touchstone or it's Hollywood Pictures, I think. And that was their R-rated division at Disney when they made things like Down and Out in Beverly Hills and Ruthless People. Where these movies are, I mean, it's like Disney doesn't want to admit they made them, which is a bummer. What can you do? Paul in Long Beach, our friend Paul in Long Beach, says, I've told both of you before, when I was a kid, I had 2 heroes. Tanner Boyle from the Bad News Bears and Johnny Sacco. Who among us didn't want a giant robot attached to their wrist? That's a nice pickup, Rob. Yes, of course, what he is referring to is this, again, Voyage into Space, Johnny Sacco. I mean, I love my Japanese sci-fi. I can't resist whenever they put stuff out. So there you go. I got that. And I think that brings us to the end. I think I'm caught up on Super Chats. Thank you, everybody.
Yeah.
And, I think that's... let me see. Oh, Mark Spector's avatar says, RMB, please do the Phantom Zone, Rob, because it's hilarious. Okay, for those of you who don't know, the Phantom Zone is, of course, from Superman the movie. And since he asked nicely, and it's a Moon Knight reference, I think I can find it in my heart to do it. But you got to do it if it's square. Like this, you have to be like, actually, my hand should be against the glass, so they shouldn't move. I should just be like,
You have to be the perfect pantomime.
let us out! Let us out! There you go. There's my Phantom Zone for the day.
So if we get cancelled, we get banished to the Phantom Zone.
Yeah, we get banished to the Phantom Zone. Well, I think that brings us to the end of our show.
Yeah, I think we've gotten through everything. Okay.
And for those members, it's in the community, the member chat. There is oh great. So Tallulah is going to be here barking. We are going to have a channel member chat now, starting at 1 o'clock, hosted by Roberto Suarez for the next few hours. So if you're a member of the channel, I look forward to seeing you and talking with you, and bring your grievances, air out you can yell at me and tell me what I'm doing wrong and how I'm leading a bad life and all that. So yes, we're going to do that next, beginning at 1 o'clock.
Yeah. And we have Path Gravity that sent a nice super sticker, I believe.
Oh, come on. Do you really have to do that? Like someone's going to complain. Rob, this is supposed to be a professional show, and you've got dogs barking. Yes, Tallulah, you're barking. I get it. You come in here. You're needy. I'm not giving you the attention you want, so I have to give her something. She gets something. And let's see. Let me just look. Where are they? I can't even tell. Where am I? Where am I as far as super chats go? Let me go up here.
A super sticker from Parth.
It is a super sticker that says hype. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. That's very nice, Parth Trivedi. Very much so. There you go. I love the hype. Tallulah, nice. You have to stop barking, okay? No barking for you. And on that note, kids, we have to end the show.
Ja. So, jede Person, die du triffst, hat eine Geschichte zu erzählen, die du noch zu hören hast. Alles, was du tun musst, ist zuhören.
Every person you meet has a story to tell. Look, I'm being inundated. There's Sebastian making an appearance. Every person you meet. Oh, don't hit the buttons, Sebastian. You can't do that. Every person you meet has a story to tell that you have yet to hear, and all you have to do is listen. I want to thank my moderating staff, Justin Toner, Tom Jr. Jackson. I don't know if Lord Toth is here. I want to thank everybody for supporting the channel via super chats and tips. I want to thank everybody for putting up with Tallulah barking into the microphone. And, we love doing the show, and we'll be back next week with episode 81. Thanks for that, Tallulah. See you next week.